Grease the machine, greased myself. Today I want to make a video talking about new Engcon. I want to make a video actually showing you guys how one of these things operates in the cab, what the controls look like, the functions and all that, because there's a ton going on if you're just looking at it from an outside perspective. It's actually a little bit intimidating just hopping one of these. I actually only ran a Tilt Rotator one time, Takeuchi version on a 290 in a big old warehouse in the middle of a Georgia Takeuchi plant kind of deal, and I was like, man, this is slick. If I could ever figure out how to get one of these, I'd really like to take a stab at it. So we got this great deal on 2018 080-4 Kubota, and it was already set up for an Engcon, so we had to go buy the Tilt Rotator and all this mess down here. Our last machine was another 080, worked great. No real complaints about an 080. Good machine. But nowadays, hydraulic quick coupler, that does the mechanical quick coupler. So from right here down, you can just hit some switches in the cab, detach the whole rotator, which is awesome. Also, you can hit some different switches and detach the grapple, put it on a bucket without getting out of the machine. And why is that cool? It's because, well, all those have hydraulics and electronics running through them. Maybe not the grapple, just hydraulics. When you hook up to it, I'll show you, it slides in and hooks all your hydraulics and your electrics all up right instantaneously, and you just go to work. So not trying to, put the lazy card out there, but if you just got a little project for the bucket, you got to take the grapple off, switch back and forth, you're probably going to opt out of it and try to just work whatever you got, unless you just had something that's efficient, because it takes seconds. So I'm going to hop in the machine and show you guys how this bad girl works, because it's truly awesome. And that right there costs as much as the 12 with the buckets. Think about that. I kind of like the new layout of this 080 a little bit better than the last one. It just got more options for putting your phone. So when you key this bad girl on, you got to wait for this computer over here to register and turn on the Engcon computer. Pretty simple. Once it fires up, then you're good to go. It's going to say no heartbeat, register heartbeat, and then you hit the auxiliary. Got to fire up your auxiliary hydraulics every time, which the Mechalec, you don't have to do that, which is definitely kind of nice. So I got this thing rigged up so the controls work in my favor of what I prefer. Open and close for the grapple is the open and close of the thumb. That's the way that's always been for every machine we have, so I made sure that was the same. And when you run to a dual hydraulic circuit for your rotate and closing on your grapple, I got my other joystick over here set up for my rotate. So I got my rotate right here. That's the same on every machine that we got that involves the secondary hydraulic function on the left stick. Same rotation and everything. On the back side of this same joystick, there's two roller rockers. The upper one goes in motion that makes sense with my brain for open and closing the cassette grabbers. You might think that's a really expensive add-on option, but I'll tell you what, it's very satisfying when you've got an option to use that. On the other joystick, same thing on the back side. The top roller rocker for my index finger, that does the tilt. So once you got everything rocking and rolling, you can rotate, tilt, do all your mess, and it only takes a couple minutes once you got your controls in a spot that makes sense, because I ran this thing for an hour with the controls in a different spot, and I never really got the hang of it because, for one, the rotation was on the back side, and that was opposite from the other machine, so I had to change that around. And open and close was backwards, I believe, and that's the way Takeuchi comes from factory too, which is annoying. So we'll go over here and grab our buckets. I really like this machine. I think it's pretty nice. Very smooth. The foot pedals are quite a bit better than the last 080. A lot more sensitive, but not overly sensitive, so I can half pedal it a lot easier. So let's go grab these buckets and just start to scrape some dirt. That bucket, it's not ours, borrowing that from Casey. This one, bought this one, 24-inch digging bucket. It's got the good teeth on it for digging, aggressive. That one's for the Mechalek, that's like a 28-inch. Looks like a small bucket on the Mechalek. Look at these forks for it. But this is actually a 52-inch grading bucket. That's, think about it as far as like little Kubotas go. That's not much smaller, and it'll be out on the end of a 20-foot stick. So let's grab these. Alright, we're going to go ahead and ditch the grapple. Now, we got a switch for the whole shebang that disconnects all that. It doesn't just fall off and hit the switch. I'll show you. We're not going to worry about that right now. This one right here is for just taking off the auxiliary attachment from the end of the rotator. There's new ones now that have a little computer. You hit some buttons. It's a little bit more simple, but this is just a 2-switch system. So we hit that, get this old girl set up down here. I hit it with my left trigger and then close my thumb. I had it backwards. If that beeping gets annoying. Then we rotate over. Now this is a sweet spot because if you're tilted a little bit or need to rotate, you don't have to move the whole machine. Locked in. Simple as that. Now we got the full tilt rotator with a 52-inch grading bucket and a, just in case we got to dig a rock out or something, we got that tooth bucket. So down there is my pond. And it is actually a lot deeper than I remember it being. But I think it's got a drain plug in the middle, down on the bottom, that just kind of ruins us. And it does not hold water for very long, but maybe a month or so, it drains it quick. So we're going to put a liner in this bad girl, because I can't really find a line on clay. So I want to scrape all this out. We gotta get all the junk up out of it. Could use the Mechalek. It's actually got a little bit bigger bucket, but it doesn't tilt and rotate like this old girl does. Can you guys see it way down in there? There's tilt you. There we go. I want to see if there's like a obvious vein, possibly, or what the problem is for it to want to drain so aggressively. There's our Christmas tree. This thing was actually up in the burn pile about 100 feet that way, and it blew out one of the storms because it's some nasty storms this year. So I know for a fact that Mechaleks are a lot more stable than traditional excavators, just by design of where the boom placement is, but it definitely helps this rig having a extra counterweight back there, because that, we did the math on the head, and man, I want to say it was throwing around like a 1,500 pound worth of junk out there at the end of it. I found even more junk right there. Could have brought the grapple down and used it. But it's still, I mean, for Ooh. Sitting on a pothole. For a machine that you can haul easily on a 212 gooseneck trailer, like, this thing's pretty dang slick. Didn't quite get all the crap out of it, that one right there. Really not favoring this spot. We're tipping too much. There we go. Gosh dang. Side straddling with an 080. I forgot. I might have 10 hours on this thing so far. It's been at Haas's house. His projects around.
Bartender, please. I need a shot and I'm begging up my knees. The way to fight is one battle at a time. You may have won today, but I'll see you at the finish line. All is fair in love and war. You pull no brakes when you're
ran over my roll wheel tape measure thing with the trencher the other day, so we gotta go old school. But bought this property. It's got a pond on it. This thing was completely overgrown. There was a tree across the dam. Couldn't even walk across it. Then I found out that it was actually all graveled right here, which is kind of nice. Cleared some area, parked tractors down here. But we got an event coming up next year, and it's right on the edge of winter when everything's still nice and green. But we got a problem with this pond. It's got a hole in the bottom of it somewhere.